Hey guys, and welcome back to Inside a Teen's Mind, Episode 8. I'm Little I, or Li for short. Today is another episode about psychology, and we are focusing on extroverts and introverts today. Now, I feel like this is a pretty popular word to use in the recent decades. In Taiwan, a lot of people actually did this personality test called MBTI. Now, this test actually originated from the US, which I was pretty surprised because I thought it came from Korea. But it turns out it was developed in the US. It's just widely popularized in Korea, especially through teens and young adults. It also spread to places like China, Japan, and like I said, Taiwan. Now, I would have an episode just about MBTI test, but if you know anything about it now, you might know that the first letter indicates extrovert or introvert. The concept of this was actually first introduced to psychology by a Swiss psychiatrist, Carl Jung. His full name is Carl Gustav Jung, and he was born in Switzerland in 1875. He is most known for founding analytical psychology, which is also called Jungian psychology. Okay, back to introversion and extroversion. So what does it mean to call someone or yourself an extrovert or an introvert? Starting with extroversion, in simple terms, this is a personality trait describing someone who gains energy, feels energized, and or thrives in external stimulation like social interactions, groups, and just engaging in the world generally. On the other hand, introversion is also a personality trait, but it describes someone who gains energy from internal sources, which includes things like self-reflection or alone time, and can feel drained by too much social interactions and conversations. That's the brief definition of those terms. So the biggest difference between being an extrovert and an introvert is where they draw their energy from. Now, how do we identify as one or the other? There are many personality tests out there that you can find on Google, but they are not always 100% accurate or definitive. Personality is more of a spectrum, so it's not like the tip of a seesaw where if you're not one, you're the other. In fact, many people fall in between extrovert and introvert, and that is what we call ambiverts. Now, what does being an ambivert mean? This word is basically used to describe people that are balanced between an extrovert and introvert, where they have characteristics of both sides. Now, this word was not mentioned by Jung. Instead, it started being used by many psychologists in the early 20th century. Now, it is most common to give credit to Edmund Conklin, but there isn't one definite answer to who actually used the term ambivert first. Now, let's talk about some myths, or I should say some misconceptions people have about introverts and extroverts, because there are a lot. Starting with introverts, because why not? The first one is that all introverts are shy. Now, this is the important part. Being an introvert is different from being shy, although they might and often overlap. We know what the definition of being an introvert is, but being shy is a sense of awkwardness that some people feel when they are approaching or being approached by someone. This is often a response to fear, and shyness can be driven by biological or environmental influences, while introversion is a preference. So they are both personality traits, but they describe different people. For example, an introvert might say, I need alone time to recharge my social battery. It's a preference, while a shy person might say, I'm afraid of what others will think of me. So not all introverts are shy. Another misconception is that introverts don't have fun. So I think this one might be linked with shyness because people think introverts are shy, therefore they don't socialize as much, and therefore they don't like engaging in things like parties or conversations. I think everyone has a different definition for what is fun and what is not. So some people might just think they don't have fun because it's not the same way extroverts have fun. For introverts, having fun doesn't have to involve a lot of people. This could be doing a puzzle, reading a book, drawing, playing music, and so on. The last misconception I'm going to discuss is that introverts would be or want to be extroverts if they could. Now, for some people, this might be true. For some, it may not. But this is a misconception because it assumes that all introverts want to become extroverts, and it kind of assumes extroversion is preferable. And it's not like introverts can act like extroverts either. Moving on to misconceptions about extroverts. The first one that pops up in my head is that extroverts are happier. In some studies, experts do find that extroverts report higher average happiness than introverts, mostly because they are more socially connected and tend to experience positive events more strongly. But hold on, this does not mean introverts can't be just as happy. Research also shows that when introverts have strong relationships, they can be equally happy. So introverts and extroverts can both be happy because happiness depends on meeting your own needs, not which personality type you are. Next one is extroverts are bad listeners. Now, extroverts can be good listeners because of many reasons. One is that they are able to develop connections with others. Now, what I mean by that is that an extrovert might give open-ended questions like, tell me more about something. Okay, the last misconception is extroverts don't like quiet or spending time alone. You might think that they don't need this kind of alone time, but they do. They might recharge in a different way than an introvert. For example, they might enjoy a TV show by themselves, going on walks or exercising, or listening to music or podcast. It's easy to be confused and ask yourself which type you are, but the truth is there is no way to be or identify as an introvert or extrovert. So there are simple and fast ways online to see which side of the spectrum you are on, or maybe you are somewhere in the middle. First, from health.com, I found some characteristics of both sides. For an introvert, you might find alone time more fun and relaxing, prefer working alone and solo activities, have fewer but deeper relationships with friends, tend to listen more than speaking. Now, for an extrovert, you might enjoy social interactions, like to be around with others, can express yourself openly, enjoy making new friends, and likes to work in groups. Now, these are just some characteristics, and it does not always mean you are one or the other if you match some of those characteristics. Moving from the characteristics, I found an introversion and extroversion test from Psychology Today, and I was pretty curious, so I did it. It is about 20 questions, and each question has a scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Now, although it is 20 questions, it only took me about 5 minutes to do all of them, and I'll put the link to the test down below if you guys are interested in doing it too. I'm not going to go through every single question because that's going to be very long and boring, but I picked 5 questions from the test and then we can discuss that together. The first question is, being out with a big group of friends all night can be exhausting. For this one, I put agree. First of all, the only time I have been with a big group of friends all night is in 6th grade. I was in Taiwan, and at that time we had graduation trips. The trip was for like 3 days, so that's the only time I can think of. I would say agree because I think it would be fun, but I wouldn't want to do that very often if it's not only with my best friends. Next one is number 3. It says, I consider myself to be an assertive person. Now for this one, I put strongly disagree because I would not say I'm an assertive person. I don't really say my feelings or needs. Alright, the next one, I'd rather spend one-on-one time with a close friend than get together with a friend group. For this, I put agree because, I don't know, I just like one-on-one time better with friends, but it has to be like a close friend. If it's a friend that I don't know very well, then I would rather spend time with a friend group. Moving on is, it's disappointing to review my weekly schedule and see that it includes no social plans. I put disagree because I don't think it is disappointing. I think I can enjoy the time by myself too. I don't have to have social plans. I have social plans, but I don't want too much of it either. For the next one, it says, if someone is interesting enough, I could happily spend an evening just listening to their stories. This one I put strongly agree. Like, I like to listen to stories of any kind. My favorite podcast, the one that I shared before, talks about their story and just current events or thoughts they have on certain things. And that's why I like it so much. Even though they don't have any new episodes now, I still like to go back and listen to their old episodes, even if I already know what they are going to say. It's kind of like when you like a movie a lot, you just want to watch it again and again, even if you know the ending or the next line already. It's that kind of feeling. Wait, why are we talking about this? Oh, right. I could easily spend time listening to people's stories. I strongly agree. Last question. A day spent alone working on my hobbies sounds perfect. I strongly agree with this one. I feel like there are a lot of things I want to do, but I cannot because I don't have the time. A usual schedule for me is I go to school from the morning to the afternoon. I work at a restaurant until like 7 or 8. After going home, I take a shower, do my homework, review some stuff, and then I go to bed. There isn't really time that I can do things I actually like. I feel like all of my time after I go home, I use it to review and things like that. If I had a day to work on my hobbies alone without academic pressure, that would be awesome. I will put on some music, do some Legos, play guitar, sing, do some artwork, and watch movies. That sounds very good to me. For a lot of questions, I put neutral because I feel like, for me, it depends on the context or the people that are involved. So those were my answers for some of the questions, and if you're interested in what your score is, go to the link to the test below. So my results came out, and it turns out my score was 36 out of 100, and I am somewhat introverted. And then on the side of the test, it tells you what your score means, where from 0 to 18 is strongly introverted, 19 to 36 is somewhat introverted, 37 to 63 is mixed signs, 64 to 81 is somewhat extroverted, and 82 to 100 is strongly extroverted. I actually felt like I leaned towards the introvert side before I took this test, but about 2 or 3 years ago, I took the MBTI test, and it says I was extroverted. It could be that I have changed, and to be honest, the MBTI test is not considered scientifically accurate, but it is definitely useful for a little self-reflection or a quick conversation starter. As a little teaser, my next episode would be a monthly chat again, but after that, which is episode 10, I would like to talk about the MBTI personality test more, because today I barely talked about it. I think that's about it for today's episode. Now, if you have any questions or thoughts for me, you can go to my Google form and I will be the only one seeing it. Feel free to leave your test results or anything you have to say in the comment section. Remember to follow me on social media and join my Psych Club if you're interested. Hope you guys have a good weekend, and thank you for being with me here today at Inside the Teen's Mind. Stay tuned for my next episode, and I'll see you in my next Real Talk from a Real Teen's Mind. Bye!